Hello everybody. This is Fred from metal-obs.com and Metal Obs TV on YouTube. I'm very happy, but dark too. But it's a good feeling. I have a Dark Fortress members. They're going to introduce themselves because don't have makeup. So I thank you very much them to participate to this video meeting without makeup, constraints, etc. All that stuff. But who are you, please, for people who don't know you?
I'm Morean, and I used to sing for Dark Fortress. And now over to the boss.
But lead vocalists have to start, obviously. It's quite obviously, it's absolutely all right.
So Morean, and you are Victor?
I'm Santura. I'm the lead guitarist in Dark Fortress and also in Triptykon. And
okay, and to be 1-1, to be equal, Morean, you also sing and play guitars in NONEUCLID and ALKALOID, if I'm right.
That's right, yeah. NONEUCLID is, well, we never officially died, but let's say we haven't done really much in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
But ALKALOID is very much alive and kicking.
But Victor, you also play in NONEUCLID, no?
Yeah. I am or was a member of NONEUCLID. I never left the band, but I mean, it's not really active. So in theory, we are almost like double X band members, Morean and me, which is still like hard to get used to.
Yes,
but maybe at one point we will. It would be weird if we would never make music again together. I mean,
that thought doesn't even fit in my head, Victor.
Yeah.
Mr. Santura.
Okay, thank you guys.
At the moment, we are not in a band together. Like I'm only in Triptykon. I also have a new band called Root Brain, but which is like musically quite different. It's more like it's somewhere between metal and rock. Like we call ourselves black grunge. Everybody hates that.
Okay. Like maybe Johnny the Boy, a bit like Johnny the Boy. You know that? Johnny the Boy, the sad project of Crippled Black Phoenix. It's a black
I've heard about Crippled Black Phoenix, but not about this. And now it's just like, it's like the music that me and my bandmates like really liked back in the 90s. So there's some Alice in Chains influence, but also stuff like from like more groovy.
What's the name? What you say? What's the name?
It's called Root Brain.
Okay, and then there's a new album which is going to release?
There's gonna be an EP, pretty much around the date when the Dark Fortress Live album drops. So that's not the best time.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, there will be some music out.
Okay, we're going to check out soon. Okay, have you heard the new stuff of Jerry Cantrell we put in the magazine Metal Obs this autumn in Frontline?
As a matter of fact, I haven't, even though he's one of the very, very few people that I'm actually following on Instagram. So I got the news, but I haven't listened to it yet.
Okay, if you speak French, you can check out the magazine. I will send the but it's in written in French, interview of Jerry Cantrell. Okay,
cool.
Okay, let's go. But okay, we are very chatty together, but we are here to speak about Dark Fortress live act, live album. So it's but the band split 1 year ago in 2023 officially. So first question, how are you? And secondly, maybe it's a bit weird to make promotion of a live album for a dead band. Morean, joke.
Yeah, indeed. I have to say, it's at the same time, it's a bit bittersweet because, of course, we had our reasons why we felt we can't go on. And maybe Santura can talk about this in a moment. So there were reasons why we quit, but of course, it's something that I do miss it. And besides the music and obviously my good friends that were in the band, we had to quit. For me also to discover a little bit the things about black metal that I do miss, because I'm not in a black metal band any longer, and there were certain things that I was happy to step away from, but I do miss certain other things. And yeah, it's only after that you realize. And what also was a factor, of course, was that this last tour was a really great experience. It was super nice. Like the fans were amazing. They came from all over the world, and we had fantastic response. And also with the other bands on the in the package, we just had a really great time. So I think we all felt we quit on a high. And this live album is also a testimony of that, because, well, we felt actually like, hey, we have recordings, and actually they turned out great. So it seemed a very nice goodbye present, let's say, to everybody who supported us over all these years. But yeah, now promoting an album of a band that doesn't exist anymore, it does have something a bit surreal indeed, because right now I don't feel that Dark Fortress doesn't exist anymore, because here we are, you know. But yeah, so it's also for us something to get used to still.
Okay, and Victor, thank you. And Victor, you, what's your feeling? And do you agree what Morean said?
Yeah, pretty much totally. And I'm honestly also quite excited about that live album. And if I wasn't, or if we weren't excited about that, it wouldn't have happened. I mean, honestly, we did not plan for a live album. It was never on my to-do list or anything. I never expected that we would do a live record ever.
But it was maybe included in the record deal with Santura Media to end the chapter.
No. Not at all. It was just it was a rather spontaneous thing. The thing is that we had live recordings, like so I mean the technical possibilities were there. Also, a friend of us tried to make sure that we would have like some live recordings. And nowadays, like in a lot of venues, the discs that are there, you can just plug in the USB stick and just record everything. In the end, we only had like proper or usable recordings from 2 concerts out of the 12 shows that we had, because like in some venues, then the desks were not equipped accordingly, or the live recordings didn't work for some reason. For example, like in our final show in Munich, we really wanted to record that. Recordings just didn't work, so that was bad luck. But at least for 2 concerts, that was in Rotterdam and Bochum, like in the middle of the tour, we had proper, technically correct live recordings. And honestly, I didn't even listen to them like after like 3 months after the tour. And I didn't expect much from it. But when I started listening to the record, to those raw tracks, I started playing around with it a little bit and wanted to see if I get a good sound. And then I was very, very positively surprised, because it sounded so much better than I thought. And very often, I mean, I've heard like these kind of live recordings before, and sometimes they're really merciless. You feel good on stage, and then you listen to to these kind of recordings, and then you hear the evil truth, and you're like, oh God. And I kind of expected that, and it was the different feeling. I listened to it and thought like, wow, shit, we sounded much better than I thought. We actually played pretty damn good. And because I also didn't want to make a live record where we would have to do like
overdubs? There are not overdubs?
No. I mean, I fixed 1 or 2 things with overdubs, but it's really like 2 small details. And for example, I also didn't want to overdub any vocals or anything, and I didn't have to, because everything was like pretty good. And so when it was somewhere in summer last year, August or September 2023, when I started working on this, and then at some point I thought, wow. I need to show it to Morean, of course, and I need to
those are guys.
We need to ask Santura Media if they might maybe be interested in releasing it. So it was really like, hopefully they say yes to it. But also we have a good relationship to our product manager Melody, and also to the boss to and so they wanted to do it. And here we are now. We actually have a live album that we never thought that would happen, but I also think it's worth it. I'm proud of it, and it's like our final headstone in a way.
Final live act. Okay, and it's the first and probably the last album live recording of Dark Fortress, actually. Okay, so it's called, this album is called Anthems from Beyond the Grave, live in Europe 2023. So it was recorded, like you said, in different shows. So it's not a whole concert in one show. It's a different.
It's recorded in 2 shows. It's 2 different shows, but the main bulk of the recordings are from that show that we had in Rotterdam.
Okay. Okay.
And it was just basically, I had the feeling when we had the show in Rotterdam that it was really a good show, that it went really, really well. And only when there was a song that I didn't like so much, then I checked the other recordings from Bochum. And then it was
Okay.
always like, and also, for example, in Rotterdam, we did not play To Harvest the Artifacts of Mockery.
Yeah. Okay.
And because that we changed the set list a little bit, and that song was not in Rotterdam, but it was happening in Bochum.
Okay.
So we could take that from the Bochum show. But basically, I wanted to make the album that it kind of feels like a continuous show. So it's based, all the audience is all taken from the
Okay.
Rotterdam show, and then only like when there was like that, then there were one or two songs that we didn't play that great
Okay.
in Rotterdam, and then we took them from Bochum. For example, the old song Self Mutilation
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the Step Wounds album. That was like when I listened to the Rotterdam show, I thought like, yeah, that's too fast. So hopefully we played it better in Bochum. Now I listened to the Bochum take and was like, yeah, that's all right. Okay, that's good enough for the album, so let's have it on there. So we
Okay.
could put all the songs that we played on that tour on that record.
Okay. Bochum, it's in Germany, no?
Bochum is in
Yes.
Germany, which is actually not. It's also like it's in the west.
Bavaria? Ah, West. Okay.
No,
Okay.
like
No.
Nordrhein-Westfalen is the state. Like more
Okay.
famous cities close to Bochum would be like Dortmund, for
Ah,
example,
Dortmund.
instead.
Okay. Thank you. So
It was
it
first
was it.
meeting,
It was
so.
not too complicated to make the selection of the song and not to try to be a best of live, but at the in the way it's a live best of Dark Fortress Morean.
I agree in a way. It is a live best of because it kind of considers every album that we ever did except for Profane Genocidal Creations, which was never our favorite.
There are
But
15
apart from that,
songs.
we play songs from all periods of the band. We play a song from the debut album. We play songs from the last album. Of
Them.
course, it's impossible to have every song in that set list that we would have loved to play because it's limited. We had like 75, 80 minutes of playing time. Actually, the album is even longer. The vinyl version is like 88 minutes, but of course there are songs like Ghastly Indoctrination
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
Valley that are not on that live album, but all in all, it's almost like a best of record. Yeah.
Okay. And we can hear the voice of Moran. Sometimes there are clean vocals, but it's rare, and more black vocals. But Moran, you have a special voice when you sing as a singer in Dark Fortress in black vocals. It's not typically screams of black vocals. It's very down, very bass, like a bit like a Legend in Marduk in the past. But it's more you are darker and lower in the voice. I don't know if you understand.
I understand perfectly. Yes.
Yeah. You
What
have a
is the
special
question?
voice, special atmosphere. Well, yeah, about your voice, we can hear you sometimes clean vocals in some songs, but you speak and sometimes you have a special voice. For example, at the end of the album,
Yeah.
yeah. Tell me more about the live captation voice. You satisfied of your performance?
Yes, well, I think I asked Santura a couple of times how much he had to fix my vocals, and he told me not much. So I guess I performed all right. And in the middle of the tour were also the shows where I think we were the best, because we were warmed up, let's say. It was the routine was there. And it's funny because the Rotterdam show was actually like the night before we were in London, and because of all the post-Brexit immigration bullshit that happens when you would go with a bus to England. Basically, we hadn't slept in 2 nights. So we arrived in Rotterdam. We arrived super late. Everybody was super tired and it was super stressy, but it was a Monday night in Rotterdam. But then the show itself, as it happens so many times, the show was fantastic. And I guess the next day as well, we had a super nice time in Bochum as well. So I guess that helps. And in general, about my vocals in Dark Fortress, it's something that I also have to give a lot of credit to Victor too. As the producer, because I mean, I knew how to growl when I entered the band, but I did it for fun here and there. We would play some, Morbid Angel covers for fun at Christmas or something for our friends. And then in the studio work that we did on all the albums, that is really when I felt, okay, now I can hear that I'm shaping my voice and that I'm developing. And it was really thanks to this guy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
However, what you already brought with you was that, and I think that's what Fred is referring to, that kind of very special voice of you, the undertone vocals, like when you sing clean, like I think that's what Fred was returning.
Yeah, like that. Yeah,
so,
like shamanic.
Yeah, exactly. So I taught myself that, and well, nowadays you have 1,000 YouTube channels that put all these technical words on it and tell you how to do it. I don't know if that works, but it was not common back in '98 when I, tried to learn this. And what I always found very important is that you vary. If you're in extreme metal, I'm not saying everybody has to do it, but I am too curious as a musician to just repeat the same thing all over again. Like, for example, I love Cannibal Corpse. I adore Cannibal Corpse. And I think Corpse Grinder is an absolutely legendary, fantastic singer. But, well, his style is he has one tone and occasionally he uses the higher tone. But that's the range of his stuff. And I'm not complaining about this at all because, as I said, I love the band and I admire them to death. But it's something that for me wouldn't work so well.
Okay.
And in general, the sound I ended up using for black metal was indeed not the high shriek, because somehow in the studio we always tried out all kinds of things. Because I tried to, even if it's all harsh vocals, I still want to have variation. I want to have a variation in expression, and I don't want the vocals to be boring. Basically, that's the thing. So whenever we had to choose, okay, do I do it more high or more low? What my producer usually said is like, no, do the lower one, okay. And then sometimes I would go more into the really dark kind of death metal, super low growl, and no, that's too low. That's too. It's not bright enough. So we found a kind of range that works the best, and everybody in the band agreed. So I guess that is what is behind it. But it's also that my voice is better in the lows than in the highs. I mean, I can sing high, but it takes me a lot more effort. Whereas maybe somebody who has a different voice can very easily produce the high shrieks. So it's something that worked for my voice. It worked for the band, and I think it worked for the music. So that's how it went.
And it depends of the record, the guitar tuning also. Victor, Santura, what's your guitar tuning in Dark Fortress? I think it's not the same than in Triptykon.
No, it's not the same, except for one song. The Dark Fortress is pretty much everything in our live set is just in D standard.
Okay.
Triptykon is in B standard. So Triptykon is 5 steps down. Dark Fortress is only 2 steps down. We had two songs that were written on 7 strings. There was Antiversum from Eidolon album and The Valley from Island, but we did not play these 2 songs. There's one song that is also on the live album called Isa from the last. That is actually played in B standard. So that one song is on the Triptykon tuning. Everything else is on D standard.
You play an Ibanez guitar still in Ibanez? You?
I play only Ibanez in Triptykon. In Dark Fortress, sometimes I cheated.
Because I don't know if you're trying to avoid saying what guitar it is, but that guitar.
I love Ibanez and I'm proudly endorsing them, and it's the absolute right guitar for Triptykon, but for Dark Fortress I kind of grew up and learned walking and running with my old custom-made BC Rich US model, and I have that guitar since I'm 18 years old, and I play it
and that guitar has a very characteristic sound, and not just the brand or the type, but I think really that specific guitar, I can pick it out after one note. And because it was always the main guitar to record the albums with, that guitar is kind of important for the Dark Fortress sound. I mean, it works with other guitars, but that guitar is just like, so it makes a lot of sense to me actually that you would use that one.
with Nazgul microphones, EMG.
It's just the most standard, boring answer. It's EMG pickups, the 81.
81, 81, 85? No, 81, 81. Double.
Actually, the neck pickup is the original one, and I don't really use it because that's the weird thing. Like I have the active pickup on the bridge. On the neck, I still have the old passive one. So if I switch to that, I get a massive loss in level. I used it on the song Venereal Dawn intentionally. It's like switching a pedal, like going from a high gain sound into that weird crunch sound.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Because that's what happens with that. Because I mean, if I would have done the right way, I would have exchanged both pickups, but I never did.
Okay.
But that's how it is.
Okay, well, I have a lot of questions. The time. If I say that the album Science changed the career of Dark Fortress, do you agree or not? In your discography and career,
I don't really think it changed the
it
career.
depends a lot of things, maybe.
I mean, I think it's one album that I'm most proud of. And of course, like on a business side, it was the first time that we were on Century Media Records. So that was, of course, sort of a game changer for us. And I love Science musically because I think for me, it's like when it comes especially to the emotional expression, it's maybe the most abysmal album and the darkest album we made. So it's still one of my favorites.
I kind of agree. As somebody who, up until Seance, I was just also a listener to Dark Fortress, and I was amazed by the end result, and it did feel like the band had grown up. I would say with Stab Wounds, the band somehow found its real identity or something. Like
I agree.
It defined itself, but then Seance was kind of the mature version of what started in Stab Wounds, kind of. And I had a guest appearance on Seance as well. So I worked with my predecessor, Azatot, the previous singer of Dark Fortress, who made the lyrical concept. And I really liked also the lyrics very much. And I think there's such a richness in the lyrics and ideas like, okay, so in Stab Wounds, he kills himself. And then on Seance, he's dead. And he is in the ghost realm, and he comes to the conclusion, I wish I could kill myself again. And honestly, that's such a nice fucked up thought and a fantastic concept for a black metal record and stuff. And the music it's also really amazing. There's a lot of things that weren't there before that appeared on Seance. So I agree with you, Fred.
Okay. Could we say in the later Dark Fortress history, you became more progressive in a way and more dark metal and not typically black metal stuff, kind?
I mean, but I think that process probably started with Seance, even though I think Seance was like very, very black, but that was the first time we incorporated that we allowed ourselves influences that were not just like puristic black metal, but went further and further. And it's true, we got, I think...
for Ilem, Veneral, and Spectrism, you became more progressive, maybe.
I think especially with Ilem and with Venereal Dawn, we got more progressive. For me, always like the last album, Spectres from the Old World, felt like it was actually less progressive than the two albums before. And it was actually like intentionally a bit less progressive.
But it's also a reflection of how we developed as musicians, of course, throughout the years, because
your side project also.
The basic the core of the artistic message, let's say, that didn't change so much from album to album. In a certain sense, you could almost say the band tried to do the same thing with every album, but developed in between. So that is the change that you hear. But I mean, maybe Victor had more of a conscious choice before writing you know, all his material for the album. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you departed on Spectres from a different point than before Venereal Dawn or something. But to me, it always felt like an organic evolution. And we always felt very free. Also has to be said. Like I don't think we ever made a choice not to do something because it doesn't fit to what somebody else expects or something like that, you know. So in that sense, it's just reflections of what we were busy with at the time and what we were interested in, and that's what you hear in the album. And with the next album it was a bit different, but it's not, there was no planned anything really.
I mean, sometimes I honestly often like, I mean, of course, like when I was writing something, I was thinking, of course, always about like, does that fit? And if the answer was no, I wouldn't use it. So there are ideas that I used that never made it to Dark Fortress, or that I never even presented, because I kind of censored myself and I felt like, nah, that goes too far. It's like not sounding like the band anymore. And sometimes, for example, if you take the song Evenfall, which was on Ilum, and which kind of like, for me, is almost the song on that live record. For me, it's kind of almost the most important song on that live album. Evenfall was actually, I wrote the music for Evenfall when we were writing Step Wolves. And I remember I had the feeling, no, this is not for Dark Fortress, that song, not yet. It wouldn't fit. And I remember I brought it to the room and I started jamming with our drummer, Seraph, on it. And the other guys in the band were immediately like, so I had to wait.
Not me.
Yeah, you weren't in the band back then.
Oh, back then,
No. And then I think I had the feeling, I then recorded a demo of the song after we had completely written Seance and Eidolon. After the Eidolon time, I recorded it again, because then I had the feeling, well, it's not for Eidolon, but now I think the time might be ready for that song, that it would work. And then everybody liked it. And then Morean was in the band already, and he really brought it to the next level, because I had an idea for the vocals on that song, quite specific. I didn't want to tell Morean too much what my ideas was, and then he did something completely else, and I first had to swallow it like, I mean, it's good, it's interesting. I'm not sure if I'm loving it, but maybe I should just get used to it. But it's not what I had in mind, and in hindsight, I'm so glad that I just let him do, because now when I listen to Evenfall, it just like when I was mixing that live thing, I had tears in my eyes, and I thought, man, thank you, Florian, for that fucking masterpiece. It's
pleasure.
I love it. So
I mean, the idea that you have that music, that track, and then I just go over it, it wouldn't have worked for me.
No, it wasn't supposed to be like, but I honestly, what I had in mind back then, like, was more like something like Anathema, Silent Enigma, or something.
Well, that could have been interesting, but I didn't know, so
would have worked. No, but what you did, it's all right, and I'm very happy with it. So
I'm going to be quick. Sorry. Quickly to work on this live stuff, the selection of the song, to speak about that between you and now for the promotion. Do this maybe give you an idea to reform Dark Fortress, and maybe for live show like Slayer did and does now?
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Or Dark Fortress, it's over, and black metal, you never play black metal, never say never?
Never say never.
I
mean, I kind of still am. I mean, is Triptykon black metal? Maybe no. Does it have the emotional content? Yeah, kind of. I think so. I still feel like it's somewhere at least like familiar, or in a similar emotional range. So it's not, I still feel like there is some black metal. I mean, I still love the music, and I wouldn't say never say never, but I just don't think it's realistic that Dark Fortress will come back together.
Okay.
I think
and
we made the decision, and
well, it's not my call. And if we knew that we could do it as we want to, because I mean the reasons why we stopped was mainly the circumstances actually, and it was really hard to find the time and the money, and the people were busy and everything. So internally, it had been crumbling for years, and we just tried to keep it together. So if the circumstances changed, and we could have a nice good lineup, and all of us felt like, okay, actually let's bring it back because we have something to add to it. I would be the first to
you are not fed
say
up
yes
to black metal. You are not fed up of black metal.
No, I know. I mean, never say never. And I had a fantastic time in this band. I mean, it was a huge part of my life, and I loved it till the very end. But I mean, just to continue as it was, that would not have been possible. So, we drew our conclusions because we had to, but you never know what happens in the future.
Yeah. But it's like we did not break up the band because we didn't like the music anymore, or because we started hating each other. These were absolutely not the reasons.
More lack of time and business and music.
Yeah,
and,
logistics and circumstances.
Okay. So your side projects, your news quickly. So Morean, new NONEUCLID or ALKALOID album?
ALKALOID is very active. We are going to have our last shows next week of this year.
We're actually going to see them live for the first time.
Yes, we play our first show in Bavaria, and NONEUCLID does not really exist, but ALKALOID all the more.
Okay, and this Santura, when can we expect the new Triptykon album? Because I interviewed the metal-GER Warrior for Requiem live. So it was 2-3 years ago. So tell me when the new album.
I wouldn't want to put a date on it, but we are working on it. We're